Let's set the scene. You are Cristiano Ronaldo. Now let's go back to 2011. You're Cristiano Ronaldo. It's 2011, particularly November of 2011. You're preparing for a game with Portugal and you get a new pair of boots from Nike. And you notice the boots are quite stiff. So to soften them up, you put them under running hot water in a sink, and you also decide to post a picture on Facebook. Little did you know you would cause an epidemic of what we now know as a hot water trick. Hi, my name is Sub, this is SubStanceFtbl, and in this video I'm going to tell you why you should never do the hot water trick from the point of view of a material scientist. Now before we get into why you shouldn't do the hot water trick, let's get into why people actually do it in the first place. So the reason behind the hot water trick is basically it's a braking hack. So the idea is you submerge your football boots in hot water, and the heat from the hot water causes your boots to soften up as if they'd already been broken in, as if you'd played hundreds of games in them. Well, maybe not hundreds, but you get my point. I know I said you shouldn't do it, but there are some cases where it's okay to do it, and I'll explain to you those cases. It's a very rare case, and it's only for maybe like the 1% of people. So, if you're sponsored by the likes of Nike, Adidas, Puma, any sports brand, and you get sent football boots regularly, yeah, sure, knock yourselves out, you can do this trick. But if you're someone who buys one pair of boots a season, yeah, you should never ever do this trick. And that's the reason why players can actually afford to do this trick, is because they get sent football boots so regularly. Really and truly, they don't use their football boots for that long, and in that case, I guess it's fine. But if you're someone that needs a pair of boots to last you I'd say a long period of time, yeah, you should not be in this trick. Like I mentioned already, I have a degree in material science and engineering.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself,
Which is very heavily chemistry based. So what I'm about to say is a bit technical, but I'll try and put it in layman's terms at least. So, number one reason why you should, reason number one why you shouldn't do the hot water trick is something called degradation. In chemistry, water is known as something as the universal solvent. So a solvent is just basically anything that can dissolve or break anything down essentially. So when you submerge your boots in water, it doesn't matter the temperature, as long as it's above zero, it's going to degrade the materials that make up your football boots. So one of the things would be the adhesive between the sole plate and the upper. Putting too much water or exposing it to too much water will lead to the weakening of the adhesive, melting of the adhesive, and lead to sole separation in a lot of cases. As well as the fact that the materials that make up the boot aren't supposed to take up that much water, so when you submerge them. So yeah, I know like when you play football boots, sometimes it's raining, it's wet. The boots will absorb some water, but they're not going to take on the amount of water that they would if you had submerged them. You get what I mean? So yeah, there is that. Now, for those of you who paid attention in chemistry, you will know using higher temperatures will speed up the rate of reactions. So when you submerge your boots in hot water, all the things I've said before are now sped up. Okay, so the adhesive breaks down faster, the materials in the upper breaks down faster, and overall the durability of your boots gets weaker as the materials get weaker, even including the plastic sole plate as well, and that leads to your football boots lasting not as long as they should. Now I've seen videos of the hot water trick and I've done it myself, and I've seen some very scary things when people do it. So I've seen the likes of people use their mum's good silverware, whatever, the cooking ware, to put their boots in boiling hot water. The same pot that they used to make Christmas dinner or your birthday dinner or whatever, you're now using to break in football boots. You know, that's kind of insane. I don't know, maybe your football boots taste, I don't know, of like Maggi cubes now or whatever. But yeah, please, whatever you do, at least if you're going to do this trick, do not put it in boiling water. And that will lead on to my next point as to why boiling water in this case is very, very detrimental. So reason number two as to why you should never use the hot water trick has to do with your sole plates, and more particularly the structural integrity of sole plates. Those of you who are observant will realize when you get sole plates from a new pair of boots, they tend to be very stiff, and there's a very good reason for that, and that is to protect your foot. So you notice when you're running, or if you try and bend your foot boots, the only flex in a certain way, and it won't let you flex the boot in any other way. And that is just to support the biomechanics of your foot when you're running, when you're playing football. So it's just there for like structural support. Now then, the whole trick will now destroy this purpose. For those who may not know, Soleplates of football boots tend to be made from a plastic known as TPU, which stands for thermoplastic urethane. So when these sole plates are made, they're made using certain processes and certain parameters to ensure that the material is as close to perfect as possible. There's no such thing as a perfect material. All materials will have some kind of like defects, whether you can see it or you probably won't see it, of course. But yeah, no material is essentially perfect. But these parameters are put into place so that the product fulfills a certain purpose and that it has a small amount of defects as possible. In material science, we also have this term known as the glass transition temperature, which essentially is the temperature at which a material, or in this case a plastic, goes from solid and rigid to soft and rubbery. So in the case of TPU, it is 60 degrees Celsius. Now here's where the hot water trick comes in. You now submerge your football boot in water which is above 60 degrees. This will cause the sole plate of your football boot to soften drastically, and it will change the material properties of the plastic in your sole plate. So from this, the properties in the sole plate are no longer uniform. You have areas which are weaker than others, so you now create weak points in your football boots which are more prone to cracking, sole separation, and overall you pretty much destroy this structural integrity of your sole plate. The sole plate will definitely become more flexible, which you think might be a good thing, but trust me, it's not a good thing. I've done this trick myself when I was younger, and it's not. So you end up with things like I said, sole separation, cracks. You feel a lot more stud pressure as well. So, and you get a lot more foot pain when you wear your football boots as well. Essentially, just putting your boots in the hot water of 60 degrees in this case will just diminish all the kind of parameters or whatever that these brands put into place to make sure the product is safe to use and will support your foot. Now this third one is not so sciencey, so you can pull your brains on ice for now. Finally! And that is that it can actually void the warranty of your football boots. So yeah, if you don't know, most football boots will come with a warranty. So for example, if maybe there's some kind of sole separation or any kind of defects that may be seen as a factory defect, you can send your boots back to the manufacturer and they should send you a new pair of boots, providing they're in stock, or they'll give you some kind of discount on your next pair of football boots. Now if you now do the whole water trick and then these defects appear, there's a possibility that you will not get these benefits from said manufacturer because now your warranty is voided for actually tampering with your football boots and treating them in a way that you shouldn't have in the first place. So there's another reason why you shouldn't do the whole water trick. Although I'm not too sure how they check on if they would know that, but just to be on the safe side, I wouldn't try doing it and then sending them back if the defect were to happen. There's probably still some naysayers out there who've done the whole water trick and they're probably saying,
"Oh, this guy's lying, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I've done the whole water trick and my boots are perfectly fine."
Well, I've got something for you. Gotcha, bitch! This you see on your screen is known in the engineering world as a cycles to failure graph, which you can have stresses on the y-axis and then you have maybe number of cycles on the x-axis. So what this graph shows you is how many times you can use something before it essentially breaks. So in the case of football boots, until they're unusable. Okay. Now, how does the whole water trick come in? Okay. Think of it like this: the whole water trick is essentially, based on what the things I've described earlier, is like aging your football boots. If you don't do the whole water trick, you should really start at the top of the graph. So let me put in terms of as if you were playing matches, should I say? So top of the graph would, let's say it's 100 matches. So you've not done 100 water trick, and your boots should last you 100 uses or 100 matches, okay? Now, after doing the whole water trick with all the degradation and all the damages it does to your football boot, you will now start at maybe 30 matches instead of 100 matches. That's a big leap in terms of the amount of times you can use your football boots. Also, that's a big drop. Probably more effective if I say big drop anyway. Yeah, big drop. The stresses that can be in the form of the impact of your feet when you're running, kicking a ball, and the heat from generated from your feet as well when you're playing football as well. That's another kind of heat stress will cause your boots to soften up naturally not when you do the whole water trick. So all in all, using the whole water trick will make sure your boots decrease drastically in terms of usability and durability, so they're going to last you a lot less longer than they already have. So those of you who've done the whole water trick and your boots are seemingly fine, I'm going to tell you this now: your boots won't last as long as if you didn't do the hot water trick. Now, if you're someone who uses boots, maybe one pair of boots a season, I wouldn't want to wear a boot that, now you spend a lot of money on boots as well nowadays when you've bought up and boot and it's only lasting you 10 games. I mean, who would actually buy a football boot that only lasts you 10 games? That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Moral of the story is, using the whole water trick, even though maybe you don't see any current damages now, or maybe your boots seem fine now, I'm telling you this now, the durability and the amount of times you can use your football boots has drastically decreased because you've done this trick. So in short summary, the reasons why you should never use the whole water trick is: number one, because of the degradation it does to the materials that make up a football boot, and number two, the destruction of the structural integrity of the sole plate, and well as the fact that, the whole water trick drastically decreases the amount of usage that you have for your football boots. So instead of using them for a bit, to be able to use them for 50 games, you'll be able to use them for maybe just like 25. Those are just random numbers that I plucked out of the air, but just to get my point across. And yeah, that's been it for the video. Hopefully you learned a lot from the video. Hopefully you learned a lot about material science in a way as well. Yeah, that's been it. Be sure to leave a like. If you thought it was sublime, leave a like. Like I said, if you thought it was subpar, still leave a like. It still goes a long way. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and be sure to follow me on all my socials. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok as well. TikTok is a bit of a weird one. And yeah, that's been it for the video. Thanks for watching. Peace out.